Oh, hello. I didn't see you come in. My name is Colin Moriarty. I'm senior editor of IGN. I'm here with Andrew Goldfarb. He's our news editor on IGN. We are here in Cologne, Germany at Gamescom, and we're here to tell you about a PlayStation 4 exclusive coming out early next year. It's called inFamous Second Son. And of course, this comes from Sucker Punch, the guys that did the other inFamous games, as well as the old Sly Cooper games on PS2. Goldfarb, what did you think about what you saw of inFamous at the press conference?
I thought it was cool that they finally showed off what they were talking about. So at E3, we didn't see it, but they talked about this kind of Mega Man style getting powers from either fallen enemies or allies, or I don't think they were super clear on how it worked. But, you know, so far we'd only seen Delsin smoke kind of firepower. Now we finally saw him using what seems to be electricity, almost coal style. And I like the idea of seeing kind of his, like, full ability set, you know, like, because I'm sure there will be way more kind of his repertoire of moves that he can use, of powers that he can use, you know, that kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, so the electricity power is actually not electricity. Sucker Punch confirmed this for me, even though that they weren't ready to show how it was used practically when I saw the game behind closed doors. It's actually neon. The attack is neon, so we know that the two attack styles right now are smoke and neon. Very weird, very interesting. We don't know the practicality of it. It's funny that you mentioned Mega Man, though, because it reminded me of Mega Man 2 in the sense that Sucker Punch was telling me you take the power from someone, but the power that's being used by Delsin is not the same way that someone else will use the power. And they weren't ready to go into the specifics of that, but that reminded me a lot of Mega Man, where some of the weapons you get from some of the robot masters you defeat in many of the Mega Man games isn't quite the way they use it. It's the way Mega Man uses it. And so his whole thing was that every conduit would use the power maybe in a different way, which I thought was exciting. So Delsin uses smoke, for instance, as an attack, but also as a way to get through gratings and explore the city.
Yeah, I think that's what kind of makes Delsin unique, too, is that Delsin, like, I mean, we've talked about how he's different from Cole, in that Delsin, like, relishes in being this, like, superhuman. Like, he likes being conduit. He likes having these special powers that he can use. And so I think it actually, even, like, in the narrative sense, makes a lot of sense that he would kind of use his powers in almost, like, a cockier way than maybe some other, like, people who are a little more, like, kind of like Cole was, a little more brooding and kind of introverted about the fact they have these powers.
The other cool thing that they showed off more of is Seattle. The game takes place in Seattle. The other inFamous games took place in fictional versions of New York City and New Orleans, respectively. So it was cool to see, you know, Seattle is where Sucker Punch is located. They know that city very intimately, and you're starting to see that they put a lot of care into creating this city with dynamic weather, because of course everyone knows Seattle's very rainy and things of this nature. The other thing they showed was the way inFamous uses DualShock 4 and the touchpad specifically. It's a cool scene where Delsin tries to get through a checkpoint, a DUP checkpoint, and you have to use your finger to, like, scan yourself at, like, different registries in order to, like, take DNA samples to make sure you're not a conduit. And of course, Delsin is a conduit, and so everything goes off at that point. But it's cool. It's a cool little clever use of the touchpad, because we're seeing more and more of this. Of course, Killzone Shadowfall uses it very cleverly too. So what are you interested in moving forward as we kind of get to inFamous's release early next year?
I'm really curious about the story. I mean, we met, what's her name, the new character in the trailer?
Fetch.
So I like that. I like that we're meeting more people, especially more conduits, because I think it's going to flesh out that story a little bit more. And, you know, we don't want to know too much, obviously, because you want to play it and find out as you go. But I'm hoping they'll get into a little more of, like, what is Delsin doing? What is his mission? What is his kind of goal that he's trying to achieve? Because so far, you know, we've seen him play around with his powers. We've seen the city. We understand kind of the broader top-level stuff about what's going on in the universe at that point. But I want to know, like, what are we doing in the game? Like, what's our end goal?
Right. I concur with all of that. I don't want to know too much, but I am interested in the fact that it just seems like a more dynamic storytelling. They use motion capture on this game for the first time in their studio's history. And as our rewind theater for inFamous Second Son noted on IGN, you can watch that. The game does come out, it looks like, in February, so not too long after the launch of PS4 this November. So in the meantime, keep it tuned to IGN for all things PlayStation 3, PlayStation Vita, and PlayStation 4. Until next time, be on.